Hey guys, Marshall here from Limited Resources, and it's that time of the week for you and I to hang out. Let's do a little draft here. Hello. Probably just going to take this Keepsake Gorgon. Let's take a look at the rest of the pack. Triad of Fate's pretty good. You can do some neat stuff with it. This is kind of a fun combo. Centaur Battlemaster, yeah, sure. Lampad, Triton are fine. These are all, yeah, Read the Bones. These are okay, but Keepsake Gorgon's the best card in this pack, and I'm going to take it for sure. It does really kind of everything I want to do in the set. Blocks really, really well, blows stuff up, attacks even. It's quite nice. Out of this pack, I'm just going to take a Disciple of Phoenix. Not that I really think it's that amazing, but the only card I really like out of this pack is Lightning Strike. And I don't necessarily want to be black-red right off the bat. And, yeah, Dissolve's okay, Maneuvers, whatever. But I think Phoenix is actually quite good, and, yeah, I'll take it here. All right, now a little bit of a push in one direction or the other. There's a Read the Bones and a Nylea's Disciple here. I like Nylea's Disciple a ton, but I'm just going to play it safe and take the Read the Bones for now. I don't think I really need to go off track for a card like Nylea's Disciple. I think it's good, but it's not quite the card that you're just like, wow, I'm going to jump over into another color for that. It would be the pick if I didn't take Read the Bones, but I think Read the Bones is a little underrated. I like it quite a bit. All right, what have we? Well, there's a Temple of Abandon. There's also a Voyaging Satyr and a Wavecrash Triton. I'm going to take the Satyr here. I think that's a pretty nice card to pick up fourth. I think it doesn't usually go too much later than that. Maybe sixth or something is about the last you'll see one of those. But yeah, that's a fine pickup for a deck like this. Oh, here's a Sedge Scorpion, another fine pickup for it. Also, it completes our cycle here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's kind of nice. Yeah. I like the way this deck looks already. I'll take the Sedge Scorpion over the Fellhide Minotaur here. I just think it does a little bit more work. And this is the kind of card I love to pick up right in this part of the pack. A Nessian Courser. It adds some beef to the table. It can be a pretty darn decent threat on its own. I like it. All right, what do we have here? Well, not a ton for us. I don't really want a Unicorn since we've already got some ramp, dedicated ramp, and a much better version of it. I'm just going to take this Feral Invocation, which I think is an okay card. Not really much here for us. I'll just take this Unknown Shores in case we want to splash something. I'll take a Viper's Kiss here just because that's a reasonable card. We need a little more top end. Could use a little more removal, but this deck's starting to come around for us a bit. Agent of Horizons might make the cut. None of these really do anything, so I'll just take this Prowler's Helm. Can pick up a Catoblepus if we want one. Alright. So there's the beginnings of a deck for sure, but let's see where it goes from here. We didn't pick up too many black cards after these first few. They're probably the best cards in our deck currently, but we'll see where this goes. Picked up one of the best black cards in the set. One of the better ones anyway. There's also a Voyaging Satyr, which we're not going to get back. So we're not going to get anything out of this pack but on the wheel, but we certainly got something great to kick things off. I'm pretty happy to pick that up. And now we have to decide between Baleful Eidolon, Nemesis of Mortals. There's also Lash, Staunch-Hearted Warrior, and Cavern Lampad for us. But I think it's between these two. I'm going to take the Nemesis here. I want some beef. You know, once we have a Whip of Erebos, this type of card gets a lot better too. You just want big stuff to gain you huge amounts of life from the lifelink ability, from the whip, and then also just to be able to come back. You know, getting one of these back if it was killed is pretty nice. Yeah, this is nice. These Sedge Scorpions do a good job of sort of holding the ground and making the game go a little longer, because one thing about Whip of Erebos is that it is quite slow. It's a card that takes a while to really get the effect of, but once you do, it turns around quickly. I'm going to take a Pharika's Mender out of this pack. We've already got two Sedge Scorpions. I don't really think Tormented Hero or Cavern Lampad are that great, but Mender's quite nice in a green-black deck anyway. We might wheel that. There's an argument to be made for like taking the Scorpion and trying to wheel the Mender, but I think this deck actually wants that card enough that we're going to just go ahead and spend a pick on it here. If it's closer, then I'll consider taking the risk of wheeling it. But Leaf Crown Dryad, get in there. You're the guy. Or gal, as it were. Interesting. This pack's actually pretty decent. The Nimbus Naiad is a little scary there, but there's also Nylea's Presence, a Scourge Mark, a Lampad, and a Staunch-Hearted Warrior. What do we have that can target the warrior? Leaf Crown Dryad, Feral Invocation. Ugh, not a whole lot. He's not exactly maximized, but, you know, we could get cards like this down the line. If we wanted to go for splashes, we could do a Nylea's Presence. I think I'll still just take the warrior here and kind of keep that in mind. All right, well, we picked up some nice stuff here, but I think I just want the Lash of the Whip. I mean, I love Horizon Chimera. Ordeal would probably make the cut in this deck. And Savage Surge would be good with our warrior, but removal's removal, and I want to make sure we're alive to abuse this card. Alive long enough, that is. Okay. Not much here. Yeah, there's really just nothing for us here. I'll just cut this Cyclops, I guess. Alright, I'll take this. I like the Scourge Mark in this deck thanks to the Staunch-Hearted Warrior. A little better than the Nylea's Presence that we're not currently splashing anything. We're just straight up green and black. So with the Warrior, plus, you know, you can throw it on a few other little things to help get in extra damage. Get our devotion up a little. Maybe that'll matter. I'll just go for some early defense and beats, and keep that train rolling. I think Cavern Lampad is totally fine in a deck like this. I don't think it's particularly exciting. I was talking about it on the podcast with Brian, and we both kind of came to the conclusion that most of these bestow cards, you kind of want to play them on one mode or the other. Actually, I think Leaf Crown Dryad is one of the exceptions where you're pretty happy to play it on either mode. But most of them seem to fall a little bit more towards one end or the other. And Cavern Lampad, unfortunately, kind of doesn't really hit on either end. It's a pretty expensive bestow cost for what you get, and it's not a great 4-drop either. So that one's a little awkward. March of the Returned. No, I think we just want the Fade for the sideboard here. Cut this Demolish. It does actually hit Whip of Erebos, so we got to keep that in mind. Another 5-drop or a potentially annoying removal spell. I think we're going to be fine on 5s by the end of this thing, and I'll just cut that. I mean, Ferris Band Centaur is not a card I'm excited about anyway. We're actually pretty close to a deck as it sits, but we could definitely use a power level boost here. We got a nice one with Whip of Erebos. Wow. All right. I'll take that as a power level boost. Nice pack for us, too. We could get back this Disciple, maybe. We won't get this back. We probably won't get back the Disciple either. Probably get back this Fleshmat's Tea, but Bow of Nylea and Whip of Erebos? Yes, sir. That card's sweet. Weapons engage. Interesting to see what's going to happen here. One thing that we got to keep in mind right away is that if we're going to take 2 of our deck slots with these 2 weapons, and we're definitely going to do that. I mean, they're awesome. We got to remember to keep our creature count high. These are essentially going to end up replacing either removal or combat tricks or, stuff like that. And so what that means is we need to make sure that we don't skimp on creatures, because that's often what can happen is that you're like, well, I still want to keep in my removal. I still want to keep in my tricks. And I want to run Whip of Erebos and Bow of Nylea, obviously. So I'm just going to cut some creatures. And you end up with like 10, 11 creatures. And like Whip of Erebos gets a lot worse without creatures on the battlefield. And Bow of Nylea does too. So you really do got to keep that in mind. I'm going to take this Voyaging Satyr over the Karametra's Acolyte here. I just want more ramp. And they are creatures too. I mean, they really do fill that role as well. So another Voyaging Satyr to help ramp out our threats here. Sedge Scorpion. Yeah, probably take the 3rd Sedge Scorpion here. I really do want to be shields up and try to get to our beefier stuff like this. And with Farika's Mender as well, we can trade off our Scorpions pretty liberally and try to buy them back later. All right, there's another Disciple of Phoenix. Yeah, that's the only real decision here. I mean, Dark Betrayal is a fine sideboard card, but I think I just like having another Phoenix here. Ideally, you have Disciple of Phoenix in conjunction with like Grey Merchant or something along those lines so that you can kind of abuse Devotion. Unfortunately, we don't have that this time, but Disciple still just takes cards out of their hand, which is nice. All right, Time to Feed or Sip of Hemlock are our decisions here. Time to Feed's pretty interesting in our deck because we have a Staunch-Hearted Warrior, which it's really good with. We've also just got some beef. You know, we've got a Keepsake Gorgon, Nemesis Immortal, so down the line it's going to be pretty good. And then we've got Triple Sedge Scorpion, so we can use it to kill almost anything. That said, Sip of Hemlock just does kill almost anything, so I'm just going to pick it up here. We're also not particularly high on these drops here. All right, here's some nice stuff. An Acolyte, which we don't want. With double Voyaging Satyr, we're just fine on that front. So Nessian Courser or Nylea's Disciple. This is a tough decision because Courser is the same body for a full mana less. Really, really good at that. And we could definitely use another 3-drop here. That said, Nylea's Disciple can gain you 3, 4, 5 life just by coming onto the battlefield. And that can be a huge swing if you're playing against an aggressive deck. Don't think this is going to make the cut. Maybe this won't either. Wow, this is a really tough decision. We've got quite a few 4-drops already, though this one's probably more like over here. I'll take the more powerful one with the Nylea's Disciple and hope that it works out for us. Ooh, good pack for us. A Time to Feed, an Emissary, and a Farika's Mender #2. I just want this Emissary here, though. A little bit bummed. If I knew that we were going to pick up an Emissary, I definitely would rather just have a Courser. Like, I think that the Courser is going to save us as much life anyway. But that's okay. We're a little stacked up at 4-drop, but we've got some nice ones. All right, well, we got both of these back. We'll take the Steed here. Yeah, Boona Veribos, not going to make the cut in this deck, unfortunately. And you know what? This Staunch-Hearted Warrior probably going to be out at this point as well, which means the Scourge Mark can go. And this is a little bit more streamlined version of the deck. It's less tricky, and there's that Loathsome that we didn't really want anyway. It's a little bit less tricky. 18 creatures, a couple of equipment, and a couple of removal spells. Oh, misclick that. Hopefully it doesn't come back to bite us, but getting rid of that Celebrance is much better when you have 2 weapons. It does hit both of them, so yeah. But anyway, whatever. Hopefully we don't face that thing down. But you know, really, we're just a big fat creature deck, basically, just trying to power stuff out, get Cavern Lampads going with Voyaging Satyrs, trade off stuff and buy it back with Mender, get a huge Nylea's Emissary going, and try to control things with these 2 cards. I mean, Whip of Erebos in a green deck is great. You can just get the life swings that are absolutely insane. All right, so this probably not that guy, but maybe. These are all maybes. Probably just going to run these crappy Steeds, but you need the 2s. You need to be able to block early just in case. All right, so there's 22, but I am going to run 23 lands here. I mean, with 2 Voyaging Satyr, I feel like we're okay to run 17 lands. Excuse me, I meant 17 lands, and I think that's better. So I guess we can run this Agent of Horizons here. Even though we can't actually activate it, it is 3 power guy for 3. It's sort of like Nessian Courser #2 in a lot of ways. And I just want to get to the point where we start casting this stuff, basically. So the 2 to 4 that we get from Voyaging Satyr is going to be pretty nice, because we have a lot of 4-drops to play. And let's add a bunch of lands. It says 9A. This is going to get tricky because we do want 9 swamps in the sense that we've got Whip of Erebos, double Disciple of Phoenix, even a Keepsake Gorgon and a Sip of Hemlock. So that's pretty important, where our green's a little bit lighter early. But man, turn 2 Voyaging Satyr is pretty crucial. So I'm actually going to switch this over. This way, I mean, Voyaging Satyr does turn any of these into double. So hopefully it works. Let's see what this deck can do.